You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
End of transmission.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios for a full 2 hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Angela Smerito, and in the studio with me we have our producer, Melissa Fox.
What's up?
You didn't sound like Kermit that time.
I'm sorry.
Next time.
And next to me, we have our co-host and videographer, Melissa Jacob with Striking Brand.
Hey, hello. Happy Sunday.
Yep, it's Sunday.
Sunday.
Right. So Melissa, as I mentioned, she's a videographer, so she's been doing all of our videos for BaaD Radio. And if you go to baadradio.com, you can see all of our previous episodes. But you also can go to strikingbrand.com and see all of Melissa's work. So she's a photographer and a videographer. So we are super excited to
all
have
the
her.
things behind the lens.
Yes. She is our team. I said that the other day in my post is I love my team between like what Tom does with the graphics, what you do with the video, what Melissa does with the audio.
Yeah.
I feel like we have such a great production here.
And then you're the ringleader.
Well, none of it would be possible without people like our guest today, and that is Rick Hall with Ground Up Property Services. So welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes. Rick has been a sponsor of BaaD Radio since we started, and he was the one who gave me the inspiration to say, go for it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he'll always have a place in my heart as the person who said, hey, do it. I will be a part of, I'll sponsor it. And I'm like, you would? And he was like, absolutely.
Aww.
So he's been on Team BaaD since the beginning. And like I said, it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Rick, because I can tell you that much. It is huge.
Guest of honor.
It is.
I love Rick. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Frogger's Bar and Grill. Hopping with food and fun. If you're looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones, then you're looking for Frogger's. With 4 great locations, there's bound to be one near you. Come with friends or bring the family for some food and fun. Don't miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's, hopping with food and fun. And actually, BaaD Radio is going to be on site at Frogger's in Apopka this Sunday.
Today.
I have not figured out what the time is for that just yet, but I'll post it. Because the event is going on, I want to say, from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. And it is a fundraiser for a young man who had leukemia or has leukemia. But we're going to go out there. They have a TV to raffle. They have they're doing a silent auction. So there's a lot of fun stuff that's going to be happening. And that, again, that's going to be the Froggers in Apopka. And the girls from BaaD Radio are going to be out there. So I will post exactly what time that is going to be. And then my daughter, Anna, is also going to be there. And she is going to be promoting her company, Symphonic CBD.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yep. So she is an advocate under Terry Mandigo.
I was going to ask. That was my next question.
Yep. And so you see what I'm doing right here is I'm doing this little lead in so that we can talk about the networking news.
Networking news. Speaking of Terry, funny you mentioned her. This networking news is brought to you by Live Your Best Life. Live Your Best Life is an independent advocate for Green Compass USDA certified organic hemp products. They offer a complete range of products, including hemp wellness, targeted health, personal care, performance, even products for our furry friends. To get more information on these products or becoming a consultant, is that what Anna is?
A consultant.
Okay. Or becoming a consultant, call Terry at 407-616-3145.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that Anna's doing because she was talking about wanting to go on the road, travel a little bit, and she needs a source of income. And so I was like, and she's really into the earthy, things like that.
I could tell with the kava and all that. She's all about it.
That's my girl.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
So what you got on for us for networking news today?
For networking news today, I wanted to talk about, actually this came from someone who's in my BNI chapter. Are you in BNI?
I am not.
Okay.
I'm trying to
How-
get him in BNI.
How have you been this close to Angela and you are not in BNI yet?
He's
How?
he's
He's
on.
resisting?
Yes, I am resisting a little bit.
I'm not going to give up.
I know
right?
you're not.
Okay.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. But actually, the person who got me into BNI, this is the person who I'm borrowing this networking news from, Brooke Bolts from Bolts Legal. She's been on before. She mentioned that one of the things she does with her clients or prospective clients is to keep track of, she has literally a spreadsheet of different contacts that she has with each client so that, when you are working with a business and they spam you with emails and you're just
Right.
like, now
Shuts
I'm over
it. Shuts
it.
me down.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm over it. Like
Done.
I'm like automatically putting you in my junk pile. But what she does instead of that is she made a spreadsheet of different types of contacts that she can do with the different clients. So for instance, she would do a one-to-one with someone first, and then maybe the next thing would be to send them a card, just like saying thank you for your time. Maybe for like a holiday, or if she has their birthday, some special event in their life, she'll send them chocolates. So
that's very cool.
she works with someone who actually puts their logo, like business logos, on the chocolates too, so she can customize them
That's really cool.
and
That is
send them.
cool.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
Send them to the client. She has box seats to
The Orlando Magic.
yeah. So she'll invite them out to the Magic game. So just different things like that. So you can keep in touch with clients, and it's more of a positive experience than I'm being spammed with email over and over. So I think that's really important, because a lot of times if you just meet with somebody one time, it's like they have their lives, they're moving on.
Yeah.
If it's somebody who's, you can help each other, et cetera, like that, I think those sorts of contacts are really important.
When you text me about that, I was like, I think that that's a fantastic idea. It's almost like a connection protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the doing it that way, or thinking of it that way, because I know that I get, I will get initial, an email, and I always will read the emails from people because I'm a salesperson and I appreciate their hustle. And if I respond and we have a dialogue, but as soon as then I'll continue that conversation. And if it's something that I'm not interested in, then I'll kindly say, listen, this is not the right fit for me right now. But if they spam me like that,
Right.
where it's just like bam, 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 then I just shut down.
Right.
So I think having, like I said, a contact protocol is great. What do you guys think about mailing cards as opposed to emails?
So we do. We actually send out thank you notes to every client. And what it does is it just adds a personal touch to it. And it's a handwritten. I mean, it's not pre-printed or anything.
That's what I was about to say. That makes a huge difference, because
Makes it personal.
right. Emails, it's going in my junk. I have too much. I'm like, just too much to go through. So it's automatically, but the ones that are pre-printed, it's like almost the same thing.
I
It's like,
agree.
I'm just going to trash that too. But if I see an envelope that's like handwritten and a handwritten thank you, that's
See,
a
I
huge
love
difference.
that. I love that too. I have thank you cards, and usually if I've met with somebody and they've given me time out of their day, I'll send them a thank you card, and I'll get them like a $10 gift card for Starbucks, or
Oh,
you know what I
nice.
mean, something Target or something that's along those lines. That it's not like I'm spending a truckload of money out of my pocket, but I really appreciate their time, even if they're not going to do business with me. But after that, you know what I mean? I need to have more of like a plan of, how to continue to have this relationship with them. Because what we want to do is just like, know, and trust. And if they like, know, and trust you, then chances are they're going to
That's
do
huge.
business with
That's
you
huge.
when it's ready. So
Right. And then she has that spreadsheet, so she can like mark off. So she's not doing the same thing over and over. You're like, okay, this is as far as I've gotten with this client. Like, here's the next thing that I can do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's fantastic, a fantastic idea. And I think I'm going to implement it in my own business for BaaD Radio, but then also with Mindful Media Group. Rick, do you guys do anything after you send a thank you card?
We usually do not. After their service has been rendered, they will get a thank you card usually within a week. Okay, but that could be something that we definitely could bring into
Yeah.
play.
I'm going to give it a name. I like using the word protocol.
Yeah, sounds official.
It does sound official. Oh, all right. So, yes, that 10 minutes does go fast. So, we're going to break. And when we get back, we are going to jump in with Rick Hall, owner of Ground Up Property Services. So, stay tuned, and we'll catch you on the other side of the break.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back. This portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Premier Couples Superstore. Spring is in the air, so now's the time to head to Premier Couples Superstore with a huge selection of lingerie, shoes, toys, games, love oils, and a ton of great gifts. Premier Couples Superstore has got what you want. And be sure to join their loyalty program and ask about those special offers. 5009 South OBT or shop online at premiercouples.net, because a couple that plays together stays together. All right, so we are back, and we are going to talk with Rick Hall. And so what I said during the break is that I want to kind of introduce how Rick and I met each other. And it's got to be, it was with a previous networking group called Next Level Networking, which it wasn't a BNI, but it was similar to it. It met once a week. They didn't have like the quite as stringent guidelines as far as like attendance and stuff, but it was a good group of people. And I can't remember, Rick, who ended up inviting you initially?
There was a guy that did auto detailing, Robert Carroll.
Oh, really? He was the one who I know him.
Yes, yes. So he begged me a lot, like you begged me for BNI, and I'm like, okay, all right.
I don't beg, I bribe.
You bribe, you bribe, but yeah.
You encourage.
Encourage. That's a good word. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how I got there and stuff like that. And you're right. It was a great group of people.
Yeah. It was Next Level Networking was a group of people that were all pre-BNI people, but they didn't like being held to the accountable. They didn't want to worry about.
So they had been in BNI before.
Yeah, several of them have been, and some of them still are. They just kind of created this own thing, but it had its own set of rules. It had a book like that thick of like the rules and how things work and stuff like that. So it was very functioning. But after COVID hit, and so in that group though, we met once a week.
Yes,
it was on Tuesdays, I believe, and
it was.
Yeah. So did you get a lot of business from that group?
I made a lot of contacts with the group. I got some business, but I've made lifelong friends.
Yes. So I know that we started using you during that time.
Yes.
And then vice versa. Rick uses Tom, my husband,
to
do graphics and stuff. And so, it's kind of back and forth. But I know from Tom and I's perspective is like when we bought our house, and this is very relevant to one of the services that Rick offer. When we bought our house, we paid attention to everything from the roof to everything, except for we did not pay attention to the sprinkler system.
Yes. And I could see that.
It didn't dawn on us.
Because you're thinking about like, okay, let's see how the water heater and make sure the dishwasher works, and are there any cracks in the windows and like things like that. You don't really think about the yard.
Right. And people, when they do house inspections, nobody mentioned sprinkler system. And we had previously lived in a townhouse that the sprinkler system, everything was run by the HOA.
So you don't even have to think about it.
It's not something that ever came to mind. And so there was no inspection. There was no talk of it. And so we bought the house and we get started. And then all of a sudden we realized that we have to figure out how to run this system. And it was messed up. It had a lot of problems. And sprinklers, water was shooting all over the place.
Water was all over the place, yes.
Yeah. And Tom, I called our irrigation set his nemesis.
Oh no!
He tried though. He tried. He tried.
You know what I think of? Did you guys ever see that movie with Chevy Chase when him and his wife moved out to like the wilderness, like into it, like they were city dwellers, and then they moved to like this quiet little town.
Funny Farm.
Funny Farm. Thank you. Yeah. So in Funny Farm, there's a character is the mailman, and he drives this old beat up truck. And he would haul butt right by their house, and he would fling the mail out at them. And Chevy Chase wanted to get this guy to stop so bad. He did everything from like rolling rocks in front of him to, Tom would literally stay up or get up at like 3:00 in the morning and stand outside waiting
trying to see.
for the sprinklers to kick on to see what part was coming on. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like, it's causing them some serious like mental anguish here.
Just getting stressed out over the irrigation.
And then it was like, we like couldn't find the key. I don't know. Let's just say when I met Rick, I was like, I heard that light that comes down, and you're like, oh, please.
Thankful.
So, what were some of the things that were wrong with our system?
Oh, well, you guys were overwatering so your system wasn't balanced out. So you were overwatering some areas.
Pull that
to,
up to your mouth a little bit more. There you go.
You were overwatering some areas and not enough in others, and it just wasn't balanced out. So you guys were seeing a high water bill with no green grass.
Yeah, we did. Our water bill was ridiculous. And did we have a bunch of broken heads too, right?
You guys had a lot of different heads, different nozzle types. And
What usually causes that? Like the only thing I can think of is lawnmowers going over it.
And time too, I suspect.
Well, time, because
Really?
the heads are plastic,
Uh-huh.
all right, and they're in a sandy soil. Okay, so and stuff over time with them popping out of the ground and going back in the ground, it's going to etch, and they're just going to wear out. And then when you have a lot of pressure coming up from underneath, water will find the smallest spot to get through.
Right.
And there's a normal part of it that you will waste a little bit of water. I mean, that's just going to happen. But it can be excessive to where, you're wasting a gallon or two a minute.
Right. And how long do those usually last? I'm asking
talking about
honestly for me the sprinkler heads, because like I feel like we move in and then that is not a thing I think about at all. Like how long my sprinkler heads.
It varies. It varies upon traffic. It varies upon lawn services and stuff. I was just out at a customer house yesterday that his lawn guy must have edged over the head 10 times, and then broke it up, and then he's got a geyser.
Right. Right.
So then he's really wasting water. And, when the system's water at night, nobody knows.
Right. Because you can't hear it.
You can't hear it. You're sleeping and all that stuff. And then you go out and you're like, okay, why's my grass dry?
Right.
Yeah. Or why is my fence soaking wet?
Yeah.
And
Why is there a river?
Why don't we have a puddle over here?
Yes.
I have a thank you note from my neighbor for watering their lawn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it, like I said, it was a mess, and it was an older system too, or so we thought. I mean, I guess it was, but I was like budgeting getting a whole new system put in because we had different people come out and look at it, and that's really what they told us. And so when we had Rick come out, he was like, "Yeah, you didn't give us a whole new system, did you?"
No.
Yeah.
No, we just changed heads, changed different nozzle types, and tuned it up. So and stuff, and usually 90% of the time, that's what we can do. I mean, there's no sense in wasting all that extra money and time and tearing up a yard. I mean, because if we come in and we do a system, we're trenching all over the place and we're making a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to do that either because I mean, we have a nice lawn, but our house is like on 3/4 of an acre, so it's not a small lot. But I mean, the house takes up part of that as well. But there was a lot of different zones, and there was absolutely parts that were brown and not doing so well, and then the other parts that just looked beautifully fantastic. So
well, that's good that you didn't have to do a whole new system. I actually was kind of snooping a little bit at your reviews, which you have all 5-star reviews. So congratulations.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. 100%. I was like, I just want to see. Let's see what this guy's like. And I was like, let me see what the most common things, and the most common things that your clients have said is that you have integrity and that you're someone who they're not going to rip you off. So when you're talking about, you thought you were going to have a whole new system.
So
he's
that's
like,
what
yeah,
they
no, I
told
don't
us.
want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to buy a whole new, because I'm sure there's
No.
tons of companies who are like 100%. You need a whole new system.
that's what we were told. That's what I
Really?
was budgeting for. is a
because
whole
you were
new-
told that.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And I do hear that.
Right.
I do hear that a lot. Well, we had this group out and they're like, we need to do this, 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 and this. And I'm like, I don't see a reason for it.
Right.
Show me the reason. Okay. I mean, if we can go in and change out a couple of valves, move some heads around, and tune it up, it's a win-win for us and a win-win for the client.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we talked a bit. Actually, I'm not going to give names, but when we get back from the break, I'm going to talk about some of the companies that I've worked with in the past that have done exactly that, where they're like, oh, this is going to cost you 10 grand. It was for a community. That's why it was so much. And I was like, not going to work for us. So, all right, stay tuned and we will be right back.
Ooh, a tease. We'll find out on the other side. This is BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back, and this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Impact Electric Orlando, who focuses on residential and commercial electrical work. When talking about the quality of work, Impact Electric of Orlando is one of the best. We use Impact Electric for all of our electrical needs, and I would recommend them to anyone. You can reach Zach and his team at 407-747-0874. All right, so before we went to break, I was talking about some of the nightmares I've had with other sprinkler companies. And I you know what I want to start off first? Well, actually, I want to say we're talking with Rick Hall, owner of Ground Up Property Services. Do you do residential and commercial?
Most of our stuff is residential.
Mm-hmm.
We actually take care of quite a few different horse ranches and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what about like communities? Because I actually lived in a townhouse community where the sprinkler system was part of. It was funded through the dues that we got from the what do you call it? The
I know what you mean.
HOA.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So a lot of times, that's part of the lawn maintenance contract.
Mm-hmm.
So they will hire one company to maintain it, to fertilize it, and to do the monthly irrigation checks.
Mm-hmm.
So we've tried to get in with a few different ones, and you know, it's unless if I'm brought in through a landscape company, that's usually the only way I'm going to get in.
Yeah, because we had the community was in the hole financially because we are collecting dues, but a lot of houses weren't paying their dues,
Yep.
and they're paying a sprinkler repair company a lot of money, and every week they were out fixing something.
Mhm.
Yes, it
And-
happens a lot.
Yeah, and then they had a separate lawn maintenance company too. And I would look out my window and I would see them just like sleeping next to the retention pond and stuff like that. And knowing the way me being who I am, I'm like, this isn't right. I'm gonna get involved. I'm gonna tell people what to do.
Uh-oh.
So Phyllis is like, I know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So I ran for the board, of course, and on the HOA, and of course I got picked, and so I was now, on the board of directors for the HOA, and I started prying into where all the money was going, and come to find out that it was like some really shady stuff. Like the person who owned the irrigation company was the sister-in-law to the president of the HOA,
Yeah.
and
Family stuff.
yes, family stuff, and like there was just thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of being spent on this sprinkler company, and then I just threw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. I was like,
She burned it to the ground.
You go, you.
I did. And so we ended up firing that sprinkler company. Like I said, it was just complete and total like reform on this whole thing.
Yeah.
Out with the old, in with the new. Got us out of the red into where we were making money. I had to put a couple liens on people's houses, which I
Yeah.
hated to do, but they were not paying their dues. And they were being disruptive to the neighborhood, and it was, so I could care less if somebody wants to paint their house yellow. I don't care. No, the things that do bother me is if they are going to park 15 cars in front of their
Right.
house and I
Absolutely.
can't get to mine.
Absolutely.
Right.
But as far as the sprinkler system goes, so that's something that you would do. Like if I were to be like, if I was pricing out irrigation companies, you could do like
Yes.
a townhouse community.
Yes, I mean the last one we did was an apartment complex up in the land, and they probably had about 25 zones or so. Nice complex, and there was just so many problems and broken heads and cars parking over, that run over the curbs.
That's what was
and-
happening
and-
too.
And it's usually a monthly thing because there's so much traffic.
Right.
There's so much going on in an apartment complex that doesn't happen at at home,
Right.
and people that have houses usually care about where they're at and, how they take care of stuff. When people live in a condo complex or something else like that, they're like, this is really not mine.
It's like temporary, probably
Yes.
for the most part.
There was
Yes.
definitely a big difference between the people who own their units and the people that were renting
huge.
their units.
Oh, huge.
That I did see that happen a lot. So my question though is like when I got involved, they're like, we need to gut the whole irrigation system and put a whole new one. And I'm looking at an invoice or an estimate that was well over $100,000. And what I was led to believe that there was like holes in the irrigation system like under the ground. How do you decide? How do you figure that out?
So usually you can tell because on a commercial system, you're running off of a well.
Would that be considered a commercial
Yes.
system inside
Yeah.
of a? Okay.
Yeah. You're running off of a well, so your pipe sizing is much larger. On a regular residential home, you can run 6 rotors on a zone. In an apartment complex or condo complex, you're running 30 or 40. Okay. And over time, mowers, trees growing. I mean, that's a huge
big thing.
That is a huge thing. I mean, we're constantly fixing pipes that are broken in areas where when these builders build these neighborhoods, they put an oak tree between the street and the sidewalk, and then they got irrigation lines in there.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as they grow, the pipes are going to split. They're plastic. I mean, there's
That's
nothing we
I'm
can
in
do.
Winter Springs. We have a ton of trees. It's caused us problems with our irrigation and then
yeah.
also just our plumbing in general.
Yes.
We
yes.
have our
You're in
backyard.
Oviedo, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm in Oviedo, and our backyard neighbor has a tree that's right up against the fence. And in our backyard, we have all pavers, and we have a pool,
Mhm.
and our pavers look like a wave now.
That's what my
There-
driveway
yes.
looks like.
And I need to call someone out, and I'm so terrified that the tree is gonna like start messing with the pool stuff,
Uh-huh.
and then it's gonna just be a bigger problem. I just don't know who to call. I got to be totally honest.
Yeah, we'll figure it out
Who-
though. You might know.
I would call a tree company
Okay.
out, where they can evaluate the roots of the tree and stuff like that, because what they can do is they can come out with a grinder and grind that stuff
The
down.
terrible part is it's on my neighbor's property, so it's like,
well, but you can.
oh, you
like,
mean just on
your
our
side?
side?
On your
Okay.
side,
They'll pull up
you
the
know,
pavers and chop it
pull
out
up,
from
pull
that
up
side.
the pavers or right before the pavers and grind all that stuff out and then reset the pavers.
Yeah, see, that's what I got.
Well, we did like with the townhouse. We had an oak tree that was next to the house, and it started to like move. Like our AC unit, the block that it was on was sideways,
Yeah.
and it was starting to grow into the foundation of the house, and you saw a crack. And so we had. It was really bad. Now that I think about it, we didn't hire a tree company. We had like my dad and our neighbor
Get a bunch of axes.
yeah,
and
and then
Sawzalls, chainsaws,
Yeah.
put them in the ground and do it. Yep.
we took it down, and then somebody said, "Do you realize that you could get the biggest fine for doing that?" Because we didn't
because
call
of the HOA.
not the HO, just like what do they call like the tree people,
Arborists.
arborists.
Yes, arborists.
You have to apply to take down a tree of that size of an oak tree. In Winter Springs, if you cut down trees without permission, you'll get slapped
That's a
with
big no-no.
with a
Oh.
fine.
It is a
like
no-no.
I thought it
Yes.
was just an HOA. I know our community has a HOA thing where you have a rule. I didn't know it was like a city thing. too.
yes,
Oh.
yes, but
Yeah.
like
Okay.
so people are like, yeah, you could have got like a $10,000 fine, and I was like, all right, we're selling the house.
Yeah.
I was like, let's get out of
Let's
here.
Go.
I didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
probably didn't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, we didn't. But anyway, we had to do that because it was starting to crack the foundation of the house. And I can only imagine. And then, like I said, with the irrigation system, it was trying to get into the backyard to some of these places, and they would refuse to let the mowers go back there, and so it was so overgrown, and it was just it was a challenging to say the least. So but yeah, so I mean, you get that a lot where the trees just destroy the irrigation.
I mean, usually 2 or 3 calls a week. And
Wow.
then there's a pipe leak, there's a flex line leak. And it's usually between the sidewalk and the road.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
most of them there's 5 feet between the curb and the sidewalk. So
You tried to make me
She
jump
got
with
you.
that one, didn't
She
you?
got
Did I
you.
get ya?
No.
Darn it.
She's gonna have nerves of steel by the end of this.
I'm a jumpy person anyway, so she keeps trying to like do that thing like.
Oh, that was fun. I didn't mean to, but and since I didn't
caught
get
me.
yeah, I did get.
Well,
All right.
actually, what that music means is that we're coming to break, and
Yeah.
so when we get back, you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about heads. Let's talk about heads.
Heads
I
will
like it.
roll. Okay.
All
Fair
right, stay
enough.
tuned.
So heads will roll next on BaaD Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
She's got it. Heads roll.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by none other than Ground Up Property Services.
I know them.
I know, right? Rick Hall and his team are ready to give your lawn that just stepped out of the salon look. With this crazy weather, your lawn may not be looking its best. Ask about the new lawn painting service. And as always, Ground Up Property Service offers an irrigation membership program to make sure that everything is running the way it's supposed to. You can reach Ground Up Property Services at 407-468-4295 or groundupinc.net. How do you get the most of your business? Is it through calls, the website? I'm at Facebook.
Actually, we get a lot of our business through Facebook.
Yeah.
Through Facebook groups, through neighborhood Facebook groups, private groups that we can't even get on or see and stuff like that. And so I usually have my office on every call. They will ask.
Yeah, you
How
have
they
a
get our
good
number.
answering service. So I want to talk about that first, but I left off saying we're going to talk about heads. So we're talking about heads.
Yeah, don't leave our people hanging.
Everybody's just hanging there going, what about heads?
I'm hanging. I want to hear about the
So-
head.
All right, Rick, how many type of sprinkler heads are there?
So actually, this is funny. Head size does matter.
Does matter.
It does.
I knew he was going to say that.
How'd you know that?
It's a female thing. Intuition.
So there's a lot of different heads and sizes of them. We usually will gear the particular head to what we're trying to accomplish. How much water we need to get out. Some of the heads that I would use on an equestrian ranch are not the same that I would use like in your yard.
Right.
Or
Like a residential property. Got
yeah,
it.
because I'm shooting out about 25 gallons of water a minute average, and then like the rotor heads that we would use in a residential is right around 3.5.
So you have the round heads that just come up and they go the full 360, but then you also have ones that are like, like what is that dance that they do where they like
Okay, so
That's how I know it.
that's
Yeah.
no,
What's that?
and then
Those
when
are
it
the
hit-
old
when it hits the
style.
window pane, it's like tick, 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 tick.
those are the old style. We don't use those anymore, really.
No.
Yeah. So most all irrigation heads are stuff adjustable. So we will put in if it's a small head watering like between the street and the sidewalk. We would use a 4 or 6 inch spray head.
But is it the circular one that pops up and goes all the way around, or is it just the one that goes and comes back?
That depends upon what nozzle we put on it. I mean, we can do a third, we can do a quarter, we can do a half, we can make it do a full 360. We try to have everything be adjustable because every yard is different. Okay. So, we were at a house yesterday, and they had a 4-inch pop-up spray, and they had a half nozzle on it, which was watering half the neighbor's driveway.
You gotta love that.
That's nice.
So yeah, that's just totally out of place. So we replaced it, and we used the right nozzle to water the grass, and that's our goal, is to water the grass, not the concrete.
I love that. Our goal is to water the
I
grass.
I have a funny story, and I don't mind telling it because we get to have another whole hour with Rick. But curious, how expensive are sprinkler heads?
Well, they vary. There again, it's all the head size does matter. They can go from anywhere. We usually charge anywhere from $30 to $70 per head installed.
Okay, so that's a little bit more than I thought because the reason I ask is like growing up, I grew up on a couple of acres in West Melbourne, and
Oh, nice.
my dad, we had a whole side lot that was the full
Mhm.
acre by itself, and what he would do is he had sprinkler heads on a
Hose?
hose, and he would
Okay.
just move it around,
Mhm.
to the areas that he
Mhm.
wanted. Well, my sisters and I were notorious for destroying those because we had mini bikes and go-karts, and so we were forever destroying his sprinkler heads,
no.
and he would get so mad at us. So anytime that we were going to bust out like any of our contraptions, he was like, "Okay, hold on," and
Yeah.
he'd go pull in all the sprinkler heads and
I know
put
what
'em-
you hooligans are about to do.
yeah, and put it on the side of the house.
Yeah.
So we had this double-seater go-kart, and this thing was awesome.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And so we would just tool around the neighborhood and like everything like that. So like my sister Kelly, she's my younger sister. She's tooling around the neighborhood, la da 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 da. And for whatever reason, she just stopped paying attention. You know what? When you're a kid,
You know,
you don't know why
things
you did.
happen.
But she
does.
she ran that sucker right dead into the house. And guess what she broke?
The sprinkler heads.
The sprinkler head that my dad
Oh,
moved to the side of the
geez.
house to protect.
He tried his hardest.
And she like bit through her tongue and she was just a
Oh.
mess. And my dad was so mad about that sprinkler head
Ugh.
because it was like you have this whole house to hit.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big target. But yet she hits the spot
Of
exactly
course.
where that sprinkler head was. And it was just like, what are you going to do? Right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. We went through a lot of sprinkler heads. That's why I was curious if they're expensive.
I mean, there's, if you go to like Home Depot, you can buy a small 4-inch pop-up for like $2.
Mhm.
That's the cheapest. And then we usually will charge by the head, and that's the price of the actual sprinkler head and the labor included.
Right.
So,
But I mean, like you said, the head actually determines how far the sprayer will go, not the water pressure.
both.
Oh, okay.
Both.
Mhm.
If I have too many heads on a zone, then I get no volume coming out of
That makes sense.
out of the nozzles. So
Is that what's going on with us?
that's exactly what was going on
I
with
thought
you.
so.
So I had to change out all the heads along between the street and the sidewalk because there were so many of them, and I had to use a more low volume efficient nozzle. That way I could retain using all those heads and still build up our pressure to where it would water everything.
It's kind of fascinating, though, if you think about it.
Mhm.
It's like there's a lot more to it than just watering your lawn that you
Right.
don't really think about. But like I said, going back to what we originally talked about is we didn't think about it.
Mhm.
So do you see that happen a lot where people buy homes and they don't think about that?
They don't know. They don't know. A
Mhm.
lot of people just don't know, and
Especially
that's
first-time home buyers.
and that's one of our goals. I mean, we've been trying to reach out to realtors and stuff because so much of the population here in Central Florida is growing, and most residents moving to Florida don't know Florida, don't know our soil types, don't know our grass types. Never had an irrigation system up north,
Right.
in the Midwest or Northeast, and so what they do up there is different than what we do down here. I mean, yes, the sprinkler head is that, but we have to water per our landscape.
Right. No, that makes sense. And so I guess when you go in, I do actually kind of want to find out about the process as far as like going in from start. But do you just do sprinkler repair or do you do installs as well?
I try not to do any more on new installs.
Mm-hmm.
It's expensive. I mean, with the cost of piping now and things, it's just, and also labor.
Right.
Mhm.
It's hard to find good help.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, with this.
I
and-
mean, that's a common reoccurring theme with
Yes.
so many people that we've talked to.
All businesses.
All businesses. It's a
Yeah.
struggle.
So there's actually two of us, and we go out there, and we're both as knowledgeable as each other.
Mm-hmm.
So when on most jobs, when it requires both of us to troubleshoot something, we usually can get it figured out pretty quick.
Right.
Okay.
No, that's good. So like I said, that's it's a whole mapping process. So I guess when you get there, you're going to look at it and start mapping. I mean, do you actually draw a map?
Usually we don't. No.
Okay. You know what? That means we're going to go to break, but this is a longer break. And when we get back, what I really want to talk about is all the different services that Ground Up Property Services offer.
Absolutely.
Because I think that there's so much that you have to offer that nobody knows about. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying nobody, but not enough.
Yeah.
So
Great. Awesome.
All right, you guys, everybody take a break and come back because we are going to talk with Rick Hall a little bit more. All right, bye.
All right, after the top of the hour news, we'll have more BaaD Radio. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Break for 30 seconds.
Into time mission.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Welcome back as we launch into our second hour of BaaD Radio. I'm going to run through all of our regular info for those of you who had just joined us. I am Angela Smarito, your host, and we've got our producer, Melissa Fox.
Hello.
Our co-pilot and videographer, Melissa Jacob.
Other Melissa here, present.
Present, all accounted for. Her business is Striking Brand. Striking Brand puts together our weekly videos, YouTube videos of BaaD Radio, and you can check all of those out at baadradio.com. And you can also check out all of Melissa's other work at strikingbrand.com because she is a photographer as well as a videographer. And then in the studio with us, we have one of our show sponsors and one of my favorite human beings, Rick Hall with Ground Up Property Services.
Oh,
I always say that. Rick is. He's like one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. I still.
Yeah, so I'll pay you later.
Yeah.
That's what I'll pay you later.
You just are. Like I said, you're genuine, and
Thank
he came to him and his wife came to my birthday party, and he was there, and he videoed everything like that, like my son and I dancing, and those are videos that are priceless to me,
Right.
No.
and I'm so glad that I have them. And I didn't think about like anybody doing it, but when he sent them to me, I was like super happy because
Aw.
Aiden was cutting the rug.
He was. He was.
There was no rug
He
to
was.
cut, but he
Absolutely.
was doing it. He's got some moves. So Ground Up Property Services is, all intents and purposes, is an irrigation company, but it's a whole lot more than that. So what I want to do this hour is really like dive into the different services that you offer. So let's just start with your biggest one, the irrigation. So is that your biggest one?
Yes.
Irrigation repair.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go down the list.
So one of our programs is we do an inspection program.
Mhm.
All right. And what that program is geared toward is that home buyer.
So this is something that realtors really need to get on board with.
It's a service that they, that their buyer, which is the buyer's biggest investment, is their home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, to have all the knowledge that they need to have upon moving into that house. Most home inspectors, they will just go push a button. Okay, it works.
Mm-hmm.
All right, or no, it doesn't.
I didn't even think that the home inspection, that the irrigation system was even on the checklist.
A lot of them it is. It is.
But some of them it's not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just not something that they do. I mean, they're going to just check for operation, turn it on, turn it off. However, to a home buyer who's not from here or whatnot, they don't know, okay, these heads have been in the ground for 10 years. You have 20 of them leaking. Your water bill is going to be crazy. And just to have that knowledge, just like on a home inspection, if you go in, all right, you have your AC is 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you kind of have that idea. All right, in the
Right.
next 5 years, we're going to need
Right.
to do something. All right, but if you go in knowing that you have, your timer's on, it's 10 years old, you don't have a rain sensor, you have pipes broken in the trees or, the wrong heads, you're going to kind of have not really a cost because we're not trying to give estimates. We're just trying to put the knowledge.
Right. And a lot like how you were saying, you came from a townhouse. So did we before
Absolutely.
we moved into this. So,
Apartments too. Yeah.
we didn't ever have, so when we moved into our house, we have that Rainbird thing that's in our garage. no idea how to operate it, how to
I don't know what that
anything.
is. What
It's
is
just like the thing that
That's the
he's
time
going to
clock.
tell you.
Oh, okay.
That's a time clock that actually turns
That's what we have
on
on the
zone.
side of our
That's
house.
what you guys have on the side of your
Okay.
house. Yes.
Yeah, so you can like change it to and turning it on and off,
and
and
off.
like the different zones or whatever. So yeah, when we moved in, like I have no idea how to even operate this thing, let alone like if I know my sprinklers.
Well, we had our house came with a whole bunch of keys, and we didn't know which
You're just
key
going around the house,
opened
just
it.
opening random stuff. Yeah.
I still have a bag of keys that came with the house. I have no idea what they do.
So that would be good for new homeowners.
Well, that's that part. That's the inspection is really not to teach them.
Mhm.
It's to go in and say this is what's wrong, so that they know what they're looking at when they
Okay.
close on the house. We have another program that's the orientation program, which is exactly what you were just
Okay.
saying. That's where one of us come out and we show you how to turn on the system, how to run it, walk it with you, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, and just kind of puts that knowledge in your hands that you know how to operate it.
Right.
That's really. It's like a. What is it? Like a tutorial
Yeah,
in
that's
person.
huge.
That's what it is, but it's the
It's an
'cause
owner's manual.
we do
like-
get calls. We do get calls like we don't even know how to turn this thing on.
Right, exactly. That's where I was.
Okay, and stuff, and the timer works, everything's working, but we just need somebody to come out and show us. How can we adjust the time?
Or like now it's winter. Now what do I do? Can someone please fix this?
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Different.
that's true. Because
Yeah.
even communities have different rules.
Yes, they do. I mean, we all follow kind of the rule that's set by the St. John's Water Management District. For odd addresses is Wednesdays and Saturdays. For evens, it's Thursdays and Sundays.
See, I thought that was like something for each community had the rules, but
Well,
that's,
some of the communities change. Okay, but it's usually not 3 days a week. It might be a different day that they can water. Like a Monday and a
we get
Friday.
2 days, I believe.
Yes. So
I don't
mean,
know any of this, so I am a prime candidate to call Ground Up and just be like, "Can you please just set this up for me? Because I don't know what's happening."
Yeah, and I mean, but it kind of just we just kind of show you what you have. Okay,
Right.
so that if you were like in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I want to put in this vegetable garden,
Mhm.
or we have roses, or where you want to do something. Is this doable?
Mhm.
Okay, and stuff like that for your long-term plans.
So that you, like I said, there's just two things now. So you have the system check, which is something
Mhm.
realtors should call you and say,
That's-
"Hey, I've got a house that's that I'm looking to put a bid in on, or however it works." And then so who would pay that? The realtor?
That can be done either through the realtors. Some offer that as a service to their client. Hey, we want you to have all the information. So you're going to get a septic check, your pool check, and have that information. But that's usually done prior to closing.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. As well
Is it
as
crazy expensive? It's like a couple $300.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And
Yes, it's crazy expensive, or yes.
No,
I'm just kidding.
it averages around $300.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Worth it. I wish so much we would have paid $300 before when we bought
Because
our
if
house.
you don't, you end up paying that later.
Well, you're gonna know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It puts the knowledge in your hands. If you're buying that house and you need, $1,500 worth of repairs, or your shallow well is pulling up sand,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or your deep well is not working right, and that's $5,000 to $7,000 or $10,000. It all depends on your area. At least you kind of have that idea. A lot of people don't know and stuff. I went out to a customer house. She bought the house 8 months ago up in Deltona. She called. She's like, "We have low water pressure." Okay, I go up there and I'm like, "Well, you guys aren't watering through the city. You're watering through your shallow well." Well, the shallow well had a filter on it, and the filter was packed solid.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
So all I had to do was clean the filter on it.
Nice.
Okay, but she didn't know what she had.
Right.
She thought it was running through the city water.
Huh.
And so we pulled out the filter, we cleaned it, we put it back in, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I got water."
Yeah.
I'm like, but she had no idea that.
It's funny though, because they're like, he's a miracle worker, and he's like, I cleaned a screen.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
But some guys, some companies would go out and say, "Well, your pump's bad," or this and that, to try to get. And I've had that happen, and I'm like, it's a filter.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a service call fee, and we
Nice.
It's
Happy client.
absolutely.
You can keep that song in my mix there. All right, you guys. Well, that means that we're going to break, and so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And welcome back. This portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Rachel Roach Realtor, a Coldwell Banker Realtor. With the sea of realtors out there, choose one that thinks about you first and not their commission. 407-252-4566. And I'm glad I brought up Rachel Roach because she is a realtor. And I know, actually, she asked me for your number recently. Did she reach out to you?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Yeah. So, but I think that, like you said, that's why I just pounce on you about BNI, because every chapter has a realtor.
That's true.
It does.
And every chapter's realtor is a top-notch realtor.
Mhm.
They are somebody that has usually been in the business for a while, because it's really hard to find that realtor seat. Like in order for Rachel to have a BNI seat, she created Power Moves. She created our chapter.
I think that's the same with ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle.
I think
right?
so, yeah.
Michelle Ray. So each one of these chapters is going to have a realtor. They're going to have a home inspector. They have what we call the power spheres. And you'll fit into the power sphere in every
So
single
easily.
chapter. And not only that is that your category is not saturated.
It's not.
So
Right.
you can go from chapter to chapter to chapter. And even in this one, in there's BNI cross chapter referrals. All you have to do is say, "Hey, I'm a BNI. I have an irrigation company," and you're going to get flooded with referrals.
Well, my big setback with the BNI is I'm in a trade.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. I get calls all the time. I get emergencies that come up and stuff like that. So my biggest thing is the attendance.
The meetings.
It's
I hear you.
it's the attendance, and I can't always. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow morning. So
Right.
in order to have somebody fill in for me or whatever, and it's really not fair to the group anyway. But that's my biggest problem is, us being in the trade, and we are a small company,
And then you only have the two people. So, yeah.
we're kind of strapped.
Right.
And so that's my biggest holdback
Right.
with joining any BNI group is that that's a part of it that I
Well,
won't be good at.
here's the thing: is like I know that you made it work for Next Level Networking. I'm putting you on the spot, and it was Tuesday morning. Her chapter meets Tuesday
We
morning.
do.
Oviedo.
Early.
Early, 7:45.
That's the thing with
Angela.
yours was that it
I'm
started
telling
like
you, I
at
don't
9
care
or
whose
9:30.
chapter you join. Join Melissa's. Like I
I'm
said,
in Oviedo.
We'll talk, okay?
and my
talk.
my bribe stands.
No,
true.
it's not about that. It's
Uh-huh.
never been about that.
I know.
It's just been about the attendance aspect.
That
And
I
usually
said-
the earlier the better. I mean, I've been invited to BNI lunch chapters, and
Right.
and that's one of the reasons we're involved with this Seminole Chamber
Yeah.
Mhm.
is because their meetings are we're out by 9 o'clock. We're out.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Now that you say that, with Next Level, it was Tuesdays, and it was at 7:15. I think.
It was early, and
Yeah.
by 8:45, I believe we all were split.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
doing-
how ours is. By 9 o'clock, we're out. So,
Yeah, so
no
like you
excuses.
said- But I
no.
mean, like I said, I would love to have you in my chapter, but I just, like you said, I am
Well,
so
it was-
adamant that it's going to change the way you do business.
You do have some nice people in your chapter and stuff,
I love
and
my
there's
chapter, yeah.
and I felt very welcome when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been my biggest holdback is
What time do you meet?
We're 8:30 to
Okay.
10. Yeah.
Sorry,
So.
side question.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, with us, mostly in the summertime when it gets hotter and things like that, we need to be out early.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we need to take advantage of the coolness and or before our rainstorms that we get.
I mean, I would even like if they would let us agree for me just to be a permanent sub for him if he needs to, I would do that as well because I'll get advantage out of it. So anyway, so realtors, that's the one. So it's like pre-buying the house. Okay, so now that the house is bought, then that realtor can also refer you to the homeowner
Absolutely.
and say, "This is my guy Rick. You don't know how to use your irrigation system, call him." So that's 2 referrals. That's 2 pieces of business that a realtor can be to ground up property services.
Absolutely.
And so that was that's the tutorial. And then let's keep going.
So then the next one is our membership program. So we will come out 2 times a year and run through your system, make sure that everything is up and going as needed. We do give a discount off the repairs, but also one of the benefits to that is if between visits you have a valve that goes bad, we don't charge you a service call fee.
Nice.
Because you guys are a member.
Right.
Okay, so you are an existing client. You're not just not a one time come out, fix a pipe leak and leave and never be back for another year or 2.
Well, that's also, like you said, the irrigation system, so much like the air conditioning, is that you really don't pay attention until it doesn't work. And even with the irrigation system, if it doesn't work, you don't notice it's not working until you have that big brown spot in your yard.
Yes, and then that's where the 4th program comes in.
Okay.
Is
lead way.
is that brown spot in that yard? So we have put together a lawn painting division. Okay, where we actually come out and we paint grass.
Where did this come from? Because I've never heard of this before. So
after the hurricanes came in and we got 25 inches of rain.
You're talking about Ian, this in September.
Yes, absolutely. Our business tanked. Okay, well, when you lose business, your overhead's still there. So I'm a thinker. I like thinking of creative and different ideas of ways of approaching things. And I was up one night at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and just on Google, and I mean ideas popping up. I mean, and stuff, and it drives my wife nuts. But I just saw a golf course. And it was green. And I'm like, okay, so then I went and did research on that. And most golf courses, football fields, athletic fields, whether it's softball or whatever, their grass is always perfectly green in areas because it's painted.
Okay, didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Because it's painted. So we've teamed up with one of the manufacturers that makes the product for the NFL and for golf courses.
So you just you wrote it down as an idea, and then you reached out and got the contact and made that happen.
So I have a 2 years ago I brought in a business coach, Pam Hargis with
Pam.
Focal Point Coaching, and so I reached out to her and I'm like, here's my research that I've done on this. Is this a good idea? Because, we work with water and stuff, but we also work with dead grass. And sod is very expensive.
Yes.
I mean, sod is crazy expensive. And if you have a broken irrigation head in the middle of your front yard and your grass is brown and you live in an HOA, you're going to get a letter.
Yep. You are. I would write it to you. There you go.
You're going to get a letter.
Yep. So then you're going to pay for the sod and the letter probably.
Yeah. So
you get a warning first, and then you get the.
Angela's like, I'm going straight to the fine.
No, no.
You're busted.
I was like the lawn police. Yeah.
So then we can come out and we can paint the grass. Okay. We can turn it from brown to green.
Okay.
Okay. And that usually lasts anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. It all depends upon the growing season. I mean, the more the grass grows, the faster the paint's going to go. And it's an organic based product.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm just picturing myself in this situation. something went wrong with my sprinkler stuff because I don't have ground up property services. And so now I call you. My front yard's like all brown. I have a letter. You can paint it green.
So what we'll do is we'll come in, we'll fix the irrigation.
Okay.
I mean, if a valve went out or whatever, we can fix it, and then on a separate day when the grass is not wet, we can come in and paint the grass.
Okay. And then it should just grow back so that I don't have to resod
if it's not because of like chinch bugs or
Right.
fungus or whatever. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, but it's also good if you're having a party, okay, and your grass doesn't, you got 5 different colors. We can come in and make it all green.
Right.
I'm gonna make my grass
Just
rainbow.
for the party. Yeah, so.
All right. Well, I want to talk more about this because I think some people are kind of like, what? Paint grass? So we're going to talk about it more when we get back. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. And Mike Heyman, you called me right when the show started, but sorry, I couldn't take the call.
She'll get back to you on the other
Call
side.
you back.
Mike.
Actually, Mike Heyman is one that I met through Next Level Networking as
Okay.
well.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful
awesome.
person. Actually, you know what? That group really kind of launched my whole networking career, I guess you could say, because I didn't understand how beneficial networking could be, because I had been a guest at other people's networking events and at chambers and stuff like that, and I either just did not feel like, with some BNIs, I unfortunately I visited those chapters that were real cliquish, and I got kind of like looked at like, what, you know what I mean? Like I did not feel comfortable. And then like with some of the chambers, it felt like, I wouldn't say a cattle call, but it was like a card call, It was like I walked out with like 50 million cards, and I was like, okay. So Brian Hastings, it was the one who got me into that, and so I kind of call him the godfather of networking, because
He is.
that man has built his business and sustained it, all the while helping the rest of us along the way. And so he was one of the founders of Next Level. But Next Level, the reason it didn't make it through COVID, it was one of the casualties of COVID. And
is that part of why you started the business at a distance?
that is the reason.
That is,
because of that. Yeah.
So yeah.
So you weren't in BNI when COVID started. Okay.
Nope, I didn't start BNI until I met my chamber or my chapter members in business at a distance.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so
Interesting.
COVID hit, business at a distance came around. I joined BNI, and so it's just like
Morphed.
yeah. So here we are.
BaaD Radio.
I know, right? It's so
awesome.
weird. Okay, so I wanted to talk more about the paint, the lawn painting service, because I don't know if you saw, but I did a story for it the other day.
Yes.
And so I did like before and afters, and somebody put like a laugh emoji, kind of like giggling at it. And I always analyze everything, and I'm like, I wonder if they're laughing because it's a funny concept. Are they laughing because they don't think it's true? You know what I mean? Like I always wonder what.
I hate that when you put it like a serious post or something, or like something that's not supposed to be, and somebody puts a laugh. I hate that.
Well, have you ever done it? Have you ever done like have you ever done a serious post and somebody puts, or a laughing post and somebody puts like a mad face?
Yeah, and you're like, I don't what?
No, how about you do it, and then you go back and you realize you hit the wrong face, and you're like, no, I'm sorry, I wasn't mad, I promise.
Yeah, I mean, we did a post, and there was a lady from the Villages. It was like, you're pouring paint on grass. How good is that for the environment?
People who don't even know
they have
anything
no
about
idea.
it.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, how much this is used, and that it's organic, and it gets mixed with water. I mean, there's not. I mean, if I spill it, I can clean it.
Did you educate this person?
I just didn't want to get into it. No.
No, that's a tough one.
Because that just starts an ongoing thing. And
well, let's talk about that a little bit then, because
I
was going to say, what are some of the objections? People think that it's not environmentally safe. They don't know it's going to come off on their shoes. Tell us about
So when it's dry, it's like any type of pest control that you go to have. When they come out to spray your yard, you keep off till dry, okay, and then it's safe. Well, ours is safe from the minute it goes down. It's just, do you want green shoes and tracks all over your white driveway or pavers or whatever else like that? And and that's the biggest reason we say is keep off until dry. Okay.
And you said, how long did you say it took to dry?
It takes about 45 minutes for it to dry to walk on and stuff. We tell people not to water for at least a day. We have to time it out with the rain showers.
Right.
As well.
Can you imagine going through all that and then it rains?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a planned effort. Okay. I mean, we just don't go with the backpack. I mean, we actually have the edging wheels. That way we don't spray into the beds and on the concrete and all that stuff,
So is it like, when you have, is it one of those kind of sprayers or is it a roll on type of thing?
It's an actual
like
one of those.
It's like the pest control things. Is what
It's
she was
just
doing
like
at first.
it's just like the
Yeah.
pest control stuff.
Okay.
Yes, it's just a finer nozzle. Okay, and then so the process is we usually go do the cutout first and stuff after we've made sure all the leaves and big branches are off, because if we go ahead and treat it with the leaves down and that leaf blows, then you're gonna have a spot.
Sure.
Nice.
Okay.
It's like when you do tanning with those like stickers, and then you have that sticker. You know what I'm talking about?
The old Playboy Bunny one.
You put it on your hip. Everybody did that.
And you are definitely from the 90s. That was so 90s.
Sorry, sidetrack.
So
that was the same concept.
Yeah.
Do you have different shades of green?
So there's 4 shades of green that we have access to. We have one shade that we primarily use because it's as close as we can get to the St. Augustine, Zoysia, and Bahia color.
That's what I have at St. Augustine, right?
Yes.
So you pick whatever is supposed to match the grass that they have.
So it's not the actual grass. Oh, it's the grass type that you match.
It's the grass type
Yeah.
because their products are made for all around the country and the world. Okay, and sod up north is different colors than it is here, or the golf courses. I mean, it could be a deeper green than what you're saying, which would really show that you have an artificial color.
Right.
Okay, and then so we have one that works the best for our grass, and as we evolve into this even more, we have we're going to be doing mulch as well, where we can go recolor
Paint it
mulch,
brown,
black, red, and stuff like that to keep people from having to
go buy a whole bunch of new mulch.
Yes.
go buy a bunch of new mulch. We can come in and we
I
can
love
just do a
that.
treatment.
I love that so much.
And it's
because that's a
environmentally
thing,
friendly
yeah.
too. And it's cheaper, and you really don't want a lot of mulch around your house because that poses other problems with insects and termites.
Carpenter ants, right?
Carpenter ants.
I hate carpenter
Absolutely.
ants.
I mean, if you have 6 inches of mulch up by your house, any pest control guy is going to tell you to get it away.
I have a question about the picture that I used, the post, because I love looking at the before and afters. And so the one that I ended up choosing was where you had kind of a rough looking lawn next to a nice looking lawn. And it looked like there was a burnt spot that was like, maybe it started in the bad lawn and progressed over into the good spot.
So in that one, there was a lot of hurricane debris that sat for 8 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So the grass died in that one area. And then on the other part was just frost damage.
Okay.
So we came in and we did half, took pictures and stuff. And
I bet that guy is mad though, because his neighbor's lawn is not looking good.
Oh yes.
The forever feud.
We just did a job a couple of weeks ago up in Sanford. It was almost 8,000 square feet, and every yard in the neighborhood was brown. Beautiful new development, gorgeous home.
Because of the no
Frost.
rain. Oh, frost.
The frost damage. Every yard, there's no trees. I mean, when they came in and built the neighborhood, they put new trees in, but they cleared it all. So when that frost came in, they just got hit hard. So there's a clear definition between property lines because this client has a beautiful green yard, and stuff, and her neighbors are brown.
Mm-hmm.
But she was like, I want it to look good, and whether a party was going to happen or whatever. I mean, that's.
Do you put those signs out like the with ground up on it in their yard so people? Okay, good. Because
do you put up wet paint signs?
Oh yeah, that too. You can do that too.
That's exactly what it says. That's exactly what it's. Yes. Yeah, and stuff like that, and then that and stuff, and then that has our QR code.
Yeah. So that when people are driving by and like, I want my yard to look like
that's
that.
Exactly right.
There we go.
Exactly right.
Well, I can imagine that like word of mouth in a neighborhood has got to be such a great way for Rick to be able to pass it along. Do you offer? I know we're about to go to break, but do you like offer like referral incentives or anything?
Don't answer that. We'll answer that on the other side
All right,
of the break.
Absolutely.
We call that a tease. You want to go ahead and say it's BaaD Radio?
Okay, you're listening to BaaD Radio. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back for our last segment, but want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Bolts Legal. Fear no storm with boltslegal.com. 33 tanning spa with locations in Altamont Springs and Longwood. Andrews Law PA, auto accident attorney. Contact Andrews Law today at andrewslawpa.com. And Crazy Muscle Nutrition in Longwood. So as mentioned, BaaD Radio would not be here now. We would not be having all this fun if it wasn't for our sponsors. So we can't thank you enough for all of that. All right. So we mentioned 4 different. Let's recap real quick. So you have the irrigation repair.
Yes.
And then you have the training, like the tutorial.
Yes, on the orientation.
So you call it orientation. I like that. And then there is the maintenance program.
Yes.
And then there is the lawn painting.
Yes.
Okay. And
that's what we do.
No, I think that's great.
And eventually mulch paint. When are you supposed to start that?
Haven't really gotten that far yet. We really want to. Yeah. We really want to get in and start knocking out a lot of the painting and stuff before I invest in more.
I hear you.
More equipment for that, because everything is specialty.
That
Okay,
makes
in
sense.
order to keep things clean and nice and off the homes and off the, so the same tools I would use to paint the grass is not the same tools I would use to paint the mulch.
Okay.
And I wanted to say this too, is that I commend you on the fact that you didn't take, your business tanked and you didn't just sit back and say, woe, it's me. What am I going to do? And I have so much respect for that you got online and you're like, okay, I have a problem and I'm going to figure out how to solve it. I come across so many people that just don't have that mentality. And that's one of the things that I love about the show is most of the people that come on this show have that fighting spirit. And I'm just like, yes, it makes me feel motivated that you got a problem, let's fix it.
Yeah. And I mean, prior to me creating these programs, I was burned out. I mean, I started ground up in 98. So I've been doing sodding, landscaping, hardscaping, and all that stuff for years and years and years. And I was just kind of burned out. And then I actually met my coach. And so when I got involved with her, it was just like coming up with these ideas gave me this excitement,
right.
That I lost, from years and years and years of doing this. And, and I love teaching. I love showing people, and I love helping people save money. And that's the name of the game. And I'm in an industry that it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive. It's just flat out expensive to maintain, to pay.
It's expensive, and a lot of people don't know a lot about it. So there's a lot of swindlers out there that are taking advantage of homeowners.
Correct. And stuff, and a lot of people like have handyman or their neighbor comes over and stuff like that, and they all have great intentions. Okay.
That's code for they screw it up.
It's so true, though.
Yes.
It's true.
But it is. I mean, if they're a jack of all trades, they're, they may be good in certain areas, but, that's why there's tradespeople. That's why there's AC guys. That's why, yes, and we get to be a little bit more expensive than the handyman that'll come out for $10.
Well, my favorite is the electrician, the people that are like, they like want to do it yourself electrical work. And I'm like, you're crazy.
I mean, that's the
Like,
last thing that if you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah.
set your
you know,
house
you
on
wanna-
fire and shock
absolutely.
yourself while you're at it.
and then hurt
Absolutely.
people. You know, I mean, you got family, and then all of a sudden your house catches fire.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
thank
that's just
you.
crazy.
Oh,
That's just crazy.
but yeah. So as Ground Up grows, I mean, are you comfortable with the size you are now, or do you have aspirations to get bigger? Or I mean, what would you like to see happen?
We are trying to grow, but with growth, I want to do it responsibly.
Okay, love that.
I just don't want to go bring on 10 guys that don't know what they're doing. Okay, and
There's something to be said about moderate growth. That's the way that I am. I like to build a foundation and then grow a little bit at a time.
yes, and the foundations, you know, I've worked years to create the foundation. So we have the foundation, and we're finally have it where I want it, where I want to see it go. And so getting to that point, we have goals, you know, and you know, if we meet these goals, then we'll gradually get to that place where we can be in all areas, you know.
Yeah. So some of the things. So you do want to grow, but you want to do it slow and steady and do it right.
Yes.
Totally respectable.
Absolutely.
Are you looking for some of those bigger accounts? Like I mean,
So actually, yes, we are. I have found need to be up there in the villages.
So the villages is one big, huge community.
It's one big community. Most people that move to the villages are not from Florida.
They're snowbirds. Oh no, snowbirds come here and then leave again.
Yeah,
They
well
are
there
here
are
permanent.
there are people that are there that are snowbirds, and then there's people that actually live there and play golf every day. Okay, and they ride around on those really cool golf carts.
I think you have to be like 55.
And they all come from New York.
I think you have to be like 55 to live there, and Tom's 53, and I'm like, man, babe, you're almost old enough to live in the villages.
Let's go in the villages.
Woohoo!
So we actually have some good friends of ours that own a house up there, and we've gone up there and we've gotten on the golf carts and gone through the trails and the tunnels and all that stuff.
Run over
I mean, it's really,
sprinklers and-
yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, to see what these people have invested in their golf carts. I mean, it really
Oh,
is.
it's like crazy.
It's
expensive,
crazy.
but
Oh
they're
my
so
goodness.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
That was
They're cool.
That was part of our like growing up. My dad always had golf carts too, and he would get them and soup them up and put big knobby wheels on them, and we would go drive through like the woods, and it was so much fun. So.
Yeah, but with all the new growth and development, I mean, every house has a beautiful yard, and you know, people want to keep it up.
So being in a community like the villages, what are the advantages to that? Because that's a big community. I mean, do you think that you'd be able to handle a community of that size?
With doing things the right way, I think we can.
Okay.
Yes, and stuff, and we can, as long as I'm able to keep the customer service going and try not to make a client a number. Okay, and you know, it's just a personal.
You had mentioned something about the travel time because they're all in that area that you.
They're
can,
all
you
in
can
that
be-
area that we can service people better.
Right.
I mean, you know, rather than driving, you know, going to one job and then being in the truck for 15 minutes, and that's best case. I mean, with our traffic that we got locally.
Right.
And also, if you're working with the villages, and you won't have that situation where you have one yard that looks beautiful, and then it's like kind of like a patchwork.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they want the whole
Absolutely.
neighborhood to look
Right.
good.
Yes, and
so-
everybody wants to have one up on another.
Right.
So if
I
somebody's
want
got a
the
dead
yard
yard,
sign or the sign of yard of the month. I want it.
But that's them. I mean, and that's just the way. I mean, the people have you know, a lot of pride in making themselves that extra step above the other.
But I have to imagine, like I said, the communities like the villages have to have an HOA.
Oh,
all
yeah.
right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now
Yeah.
you know that. Let's do it. Let's put that out to our listeners. Hey, listeners. So we're interested in getting contact for the villages. And if you can reach out to me at angela@baadradio.com, send me that info, and I'll get it to Rick. And then how awesome would that be
If you're on the
great.
HOA, or if you know
Yeah.
someone that's on the
if
board,
we were able to land you an appointment to put your bid in there? That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to serve. You know, I want to serve and I want to teach. You know,
Can I tell you, I have not met Rick since now, and just based off of like how you talk about being responsible growing and not wanting to like have someone buy a whole new system and like being responsible that way, like 100% hands down, I would call him like without question.
I know.
Without question.
I refer him to just about anybody and everybody. But again, it's one of those things too where not a lot of people say, "Hey, do you know what I mean?" People will say all the time, "Hey, do you know like I want to paint my house." I don't get as many people saying, "Hey, do you have somebody that works on irrigation?" I did have Rachel Roach ask me the other day. She goes, "Who was the irrigation person that was in the chapter?" And so I gave her the number. That's why I was wondering if they called. But your services are highly required, needed. And it's really just, honestly, it's like getting the name out there as much as possible and really all the different services that you do.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is we all live here and we need to conserve. I mean, so we need to save as much of our water as possible. And if you water right, you know, it's healthy turf and it's good for our environment.
So, Rick, give everybody your contact information because we are coming to the end of the show.
We are Ground Up Property Services, 407-468-4295 or groundupinc.net, groundupinc.net.
All right, and I do photography and videography for businesses. You can find me on all social media platforms at strikingbrand.com.
And I am Angela with BaaD Radio. You can find all of episodes at baadradio.com. That's BaaD radio.com. Have a fantastic week.